Welcome to 20-Sided Adventures. My name's Ryan. This is a continuation of my Class Collegium series. We're going to be getting into the depths of the Ranger with Ranger 301. This particular video is going to be the first of a kind like this, where I'm going to take a class archetype and show you how to weave that into building the class. This is coming from the new book, War of Immortals. So we're going to check out the Vindicator, which is replacing the Inquisitor from Pathfinder 1st Edition. So I'm going to be attempting to recreate an Inquisitor I played in Pathfinder 1. If you like the content putting out here on the channel, please give a like and a subscribe down below. And if you are a bearded gamer such as myself and you are looking for some fantastic beard products, check out beardsorcery.com, promo code in the description. With no more to do, let's get into it. Alright, so the Vindicator is a class archetype. This is a unique type of archetype that changes the fundamental workings of a base class. If you're playing with free archetype, it can get a little weird. Some GMs might let you take it in your free archetype slot. I think it still needs to take a class feat slot, at least for the dedication, for just how these are designed to work. At my table, I also don't require you take 2 Vindicator dedication feats before you can use your free archetype, so I kind of let that weave. Your experience may vary at your table. Talk to your GM if you're playing with free archetype and you're wanting to use the Vindicator. So this is the journal from Foundry. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I know Foundry doesn't display really well on here, and I don't want to pop all of these up, but I just want to highlight one of the unique things that Vindicator lets you do as a ranger. So the first is it's going to give you additional feats that are generally not available to a ranger. The first is Domain Initiate. This lets you dip into a cleric feat where you are getting access to the domain spells granted by your deity. Next up, Intrusive Strike. So this is from Thaumaturge. This is going to let you get a free recall knowledge with a bonus if you're leaning into perhaps Monster Hunter feats from the Ranger, if that's a direction you want to take your Vindicator. Ongoing Investigation from the Investigator. So you're pulling a lot of things that kind of make sense for what this class does. This lets you use the Investigate exploration activity and continue to move at full speed. So if you're doing that hunting down heretics or monsters of the faith. Thorough Research, similar ideas. This one is coming from the Investigator as well. When you critically succeed recall knowledge, you get additional information or context. So it's just helping you be that finder of secrets and, getting to the bottom of the truth of whatever your faith has sent you on. And then lastly, Advanced Domain is getting you the higher level domain focus feat. I just wanted to highlight that you do have some other feat choices when you dip into this archetype, because I'm not going to use all of them on my build here for our 301 video. And for 301, we are building Ewald Reinhardt. This is the Inquisitor I played in Pathfinder 1st Edition, so I'm going to see how he transfers over with this new Vindicator. Artwork credit to what I found on Pinterest like 8 years ago. If you guys know who the artist is, drop it in the comments. So first, Hunter's Edge. You get the specific Vindicator, Hunter's Edge. You have to be a Ranger to get Vindicator. The changes are you choose a deity to follow, and you gain your deity's sanctification. So if they require sanctification, you will be. If it's optional, you can choose. We're going to get trained in religion instead of nature. You get trained in your deity's favorite weapon. If your deity's favorite weapon is a simple weapon or unarmed attack with a damage die smaller than d6, you gain Deadly Simplicity feat, which is also a cleric feat. If your deity's favorite weapon is an advanced weapon, your proficiency with it's equal to proficiency with a martial weapon. You must choose the Vindicator's Edge for your Hunter's Edge. And any warden spells you learn them as divine spells. Now, most importantly, your Vindication's Edge. This gives you a +1 status bonus to your spell attack rolls against your hunted prey. And they take a -1 status penalty to saving throws against divine spells you cast. It's kind of interesting how they've worded this. If you take some other archetypes or anything else down the line where you get spell attack rolls of any kind, you'll still get the +1. But if you can cast spells that are not divine, they will not take the -1 status penalty to saving throws. So do keep that in mind with your own Vindicators when you're building things out. So at level 1, you get to take a Ranger feat. I took Animal Companion because Ewald had a faithful wolf companion, so to recreate that character here, we're taking the Animal Companion. I would say if you wanted to be a more caster-focused Vindicator, I would take the Domain Initiate here. That will give you an access to another focus spell, and I'd make sure it's something that either has a spell attack or is offensive and utilizes your hunted prey benefit. Level 2, we have to take the Vindicator Dedication as per being a Vindicator. This comes with the benefit that your church ensures that you are well cared for. You can use religion to coerce, or gather information, or make an impression, or make a request, as long as you are in a town or city with a church dedicated to your deity. So a little niche, but it's letting that religion skill use for a lot of skill checks, so you may not have to diversify your skill points as much to be really good at something. So if your campaign is taking place in a town with your church, you're going to be able to really utilize boosting your religion as high as you can. Also, if for some reason you're using that check against someone who follows your deity, you get a +2 to that bonus. So I guess the making the request could be the more benevolent one, or if you're being kind of that dark Vindicator, the Inquisitor, finding the unfaithful, you can attempt to coerce people with the +2. So a lot of benefits swirling around whatever deity you have chosen. And then at level 2, at the archetype for 2, we're going to take Cleric Dedication, and we're doing this to get access to the Cleric spell list, because the Pathfinder 1st Edition Inquisitor had access to a wide variety of divine spells. Spell lists worked very different in 1st Edition. Every class had its own unique curated spell list for the most part, instead of 4 spell lists of different types of magic. At level 4, we're going to take Natural Conduit. This is a ranger feat. This is going to allow us to use your animal companion as the point of origin for casting a spell. This again is because we're leaning into what our Hunt Prey gives us, the penalty or bonus on our spell attack rolls to the enemy, as well as getting access to that cleric spell list, so we have a wider range if you and the companion are far apart. And at 4, for the archetype, we're taking basic cleric spellcasting, so you're getting 1 spell slot at a lower pace level for getting access to cleric spells. 6 is Interrogate. Now this is a new one from the Vindicator. You ask a question you know will be answered. Ask a question of a non-allied creature that you can see and have been conversing with. Attempt an intimidation check against the creature's will DC if the creature is a member of the same religion as you, or is an undead or were creature pretending to be a member of your faith. You get a +2 bonus to this check. This creature is temporarily immune for 1 hour. If you get a critical success, they must answer directly your question, which is useful in a lot of these make the NPC say things wording. I like that it has to be direct. Doesn't have to answer truthfully, but you gain a +4 circumstance bonus to the perception DC should the creature attempt to lie. Success, same as critical, but it's a +2 bonus. On fail, they can refuse to answer but become unfriendly if they weren't already unfriendly or hostile. And critical failure, they refuse to answer, become hostile, and you cannot use Interrogate for the next 24 hours. So the original Inquisitor had a lot of truth discerning abilities and interrogation focused feats, so this very much lives up to the spirit of that and is pretty useful in an investigation. Level 6, we're taking Basic Dogma Emblazon Armament. This is a cleric feat, and it gives us basically a +1 status bonus to damage rolls if we put it on our weapon, or +1 to a shield. This character wouldn't be using a shield, so we're going to take that default bonus to our offensive capability, because this character is a casting frontline fighter with an animal companion. At 8, we're going to use the ranger ability to mature animal companion, keep that wolf moving up, and we are going to get the new Vindicator in the archetype slot, Disrupt Opposed Magic. I love this feat. Trigger, because it is a reaction, a creature you can observe within your reach or within your weapon's first range increment. If you're wielding a ranged weapon, casts a spell. Kind of cool with my spear-wielding Inquisitor from 1st Edition, but a bow-focused ranger that is a Vindicator with this ability being able to reach out and disrupt magic is pretty awesome. You have to be wielding your deity's favored weapon, so that is a caveat to this. If you want to be a ranged Vindicator, you got to find a deity that's going to let you have a ranged weapon. Your training included instruction on how to prevent an enemy spellcaster from using their prayers against you. Make a strike with the required weapon against the opponent. If the strike is successful, the triggering spell is disrupted. So you just get to waste 2 of their actions and shut down magic. That is awesome. 10, we're going Incredible Companion, again, just leaning into having an awesome wolf buddy. And then in the archetype feat, we're taking the new Vindicator's Judgment. This is going to give you the Judgment focus spell. We'll kind of touch on spells a little later. Vindicator's Judgment is very much like the Judgment features from the Pathfinder 1st Edition Inquisitor, which were kind of like a hallmark ability to augment your damage and what you were doing to targets. While not as wide-ranging, I think there was like 12 judgments you could pass in first edition. I frankly only ever used two, the one that let me hit harder and the one that let me do magic stuff. So this made sense to really kind of pull it down together and into this focus spell. At 12, we take Call the Hunt. This is also for the Vindicator. You instruct your allies how to best defeat your prey until the start of your next turn. Whenever your hunted prey is within reach of you and at least one of your allies, it is off guard. All melee attacks. You are sanctified. The unarmed attacks and weapon strikes of you and your allies gain the benefits of your sanctification against your hunted prey. So if you're fighting something that is the opposite of your sanctification, you boost all your allies and you all get off guard regardless if you're flanking or not. This is very reminiscent of first edition's teamwork feat abilities with the Inquisitor, and I am here for it. 12 for the archetype, we take expert spellcasting for the cleric. This is going to get us a higher level spell slots available. 14, double prey. This is a ranger feat, and I think there's some interesting synergy with the Vindicator specifically with this. You can focus on two foes at once, hunting both of them down when you use the hunt prey action. You can pick two creatures as your prey. So, Call the Hunt just says if it's your hunted prey. So this feature now works on two targets, and if you have a, like this one being a spear fighting ranger, if I can put myself in range of both of those targets, any of my allies are now flanking those hunted prey. Pretty powerful. As well as both of the focus spells for the Vindicator specifically target your hunted prey. So they should both target both of these creatures if they're in range when you use them. That's my reading of how this should work and how those spells interact. I would love your opinions in the comments. At 14, in the archetype, we're going to take Divine Breath. This is going to double the amount of spell slots we're getting from our cleric. At 16, we take Specialized Companion, and we are pretty much out of archetypes here, so you could dip into something else. I didn't want to take a character build all the way to 20. My main goal here was to see if I could build the essence of my Pathfinder First Edition Inquisitor, and this might be the next character I play in the Pathfinder game I get to play in. Sadly, we just started, so this will be a ways off. So looking at the spells, Vindicator's Mark. This is the default focus spell you get for being a Vindicator. You launch a magical dart at your hunted prey, which marks them with a nimbus only you can detect. Make a spell attack roll against the target. On a hit, you deal 2d4 spirit damage, and the target is marked by a glowing nimbus of energy that only you can see. For the duration of the spell, the marked target takes an additional +2 damage from all of your weapon and unarmed strikes. Invisible targets marked by your mark are concealed to you rather than undetected. So this is going to help if you're fighting creatures that are going to be trying to getting away from you. You can dismiss the spell on your turn if your last action dealt damage to the target, the weapon, or an unarmed attack, instantly dealing 66 spirit damage. So you're going to get damage right out the gate. You're going to get a bonus on all future hits that you use against them, and you can end it by doing a large chunk of spirit damage, and this also will heighten. So then we took Vindicator's Judgment at 10. You pronounce a terrible judgment upon your quarry that causes all of your attacks and divine spells to strike with deadly efficacy. The target takes extra damage from your attacks depending on the result of the fortitude save. The spell ends immediately if the target is no longer your hunted prey. So again, these targets, your hunted prey. With double prey, you have two hunted prey. I don't see why these spells don't affect both of them, because that's also Vindicator's Mark. Target, your hunted prey. And they're both within 60 feet. So I think regardless, the double prey is a must-take for a Vindicator. Again, if you disagree, love to hear about it in the comments. They have to make a fortitude save, which is at a -1, because they're your hunted prey. Critical success, target is unaffected. Success, the target has a weakness 5 to the next strike you make against it, or damaging divine spell you cast that includes the target before the end of your next turn. So even on a success, you've got two actions. They're going to be at weakness 5. Okay, pretty solid. On a failure, that weakness 5 lasts for the duration of the spell, which is 1 minute. And on a critical failure, they're still getting that weakness 5, and they are off guard against the first strike or divine spell you make against them each round for the duration. So that's some money. You get a +2 to hit them because they're off guard, or you're reducing their AC by 2. They're at weakness 5, and this will heighten as you level up, so you can make that weakness up to 10 or even 15. So this is some spells that I took that I thought would augment if you wanted to go a little bit more spellcasting heavy as your Inquisitor, kind of mirroring that Pathfinder First Edition. You're looking for spells that are primarily offensive, not really augmenting you too much, because you're wanting to lean into what that hunt prey bonus to strike or reducing their save gives you. But in cantrips, detect magic, super useful if you're doing investigation. Needle darts is a great spell, especially if you're being a melee focused Inquisitor and they're just a little bit out of range. You can still reach out and do some damage. Shield is just a good cantrip to take, and then Vitality Lash is a good solid one if you're going to be hunting a lot of undead with your Inquisitor. At your level 1 spells, Admonishing Ray and Enfeeble. Admonishing is going to give you some damage at range, Enfeeble is going to help you debuff some enemies at range if you can't quite reach them this round. Fear I thought was a great one to take once you've got multiple hunted prey, and if you load it up and heightened, you can affect up to 5 creatures. So you could target the 2 hunted prey, 3 of their buddies, get a pretty good chance of dropping a lot of debuffs with that. And then Infused Vitality is my one exception to the not really self-augmenting rule on this spell list. This one's going to let you deal more damage based on how much time you spent, so you're going to be able to dish out some extra vitality damage. A lot of the spells in the old Inquisitor list were very much boost your own damage, so you can get in there and really lean into the judgments had. So that one just was really reminiscent of my old character. Some other ideas at second rank: Bone Shaker, Revealing Light. At third rank, Holy Light, Moonlight Ray, Percussive Impact. Those are all ranged targeting AC. Fourth rank, Divine Wrath, Painful Vibration, Radiant Beam, Fortitude saves, and Reflex saves. I believe the beam is also 120 lines, so you can get a decent AoE in that. At fifth rank, which is you could get a little bit higher on this, but again, you're not going to be a maximized spellcaster, and at most you'll only have 2 spell slots per day, so these are really augments to what you're doing. But Banishment can be a great one because if you hunt prey and then you banish an extraplanar creature. Flame Strike and Scouring Pulse, again, long range AoE damage spells. And if they're against your hunted prey, you just get to lean into being more effective as a spellcaster than most would probably expect you to be. All right, so this has been the Vindicator. It almost feels like a new class to me with the amount of changes. It definitely feels like the Inquisitor of old. If you saw my older video, I think the name change was unnecessary and a little weird, but in the end, I do like it when classes don't confuse themselves with like societal jobs or occupations. If your game has, for a story standpoint, a faith with Inquisitors, it's nice that your players aren't confused of, are they the class the Inquisitor or are they a thing the Inquisitor? So I always do appreciate those kind of changes. I just think it could have done without some of the fanfare that came around it from Paizo, and they could have just called it the Vindicator and moved on. All in all, this is a fantastic class archetype. Some of them are not as amazing as this one. Some of the class archetypes do feel a little limiting rather than expanding, and I think this gives you a lot of options. You can definitely lean into being a focus caster. There's a wide variety of free archetypes to really get you a couple different flavors of how to play this Vindicator. Let me know what you think about Vindicator, and we will see you next time on 20 Sided Adventures.